Welcome back to English Evolution. I am Bella, and today we are talking about a situation that is both funny and a little uncomfortable at the same time.
And I am Rick. And yeah, today we're talking about that moment when everyone laughs, and you have no idea why.
I think every English learner has experienced that at least once.
Yeah, and in that moment, you just smile and hope nobody notices.
So, be honest. Did that happen to you at work?
Yeah, and honestly, it was even worse because it happened in a group conversation with several coworkers.
That sounds like a very challenging situation, especially in a new environment.
Yeah, we were all standing behind the bar during a quieter moment, just talking and relaxing a bit.
So it was a casual conversation, not something formal.
Exactly. And that's what made it tricky, because people were speaking fast and using slang.
And then someone made a joke?
Yeah, one of the guys said something, and suddenly everyone started laughing.
And you didn't catch the joke?
Not really. I understood a few words, but I missed the main point completely.
That's the worst feeling, because you want to be part of the moment.
Exactly. And your brain starts working fast trying to guess what's happening.
So what did you do in that moment?
I did what most people do. I laughed, but a bit late.
That delayed laugh always gives it away.
Yeah, and I think one of them noticed right away.
Did someone say something to you?
Yeah, one of the guys looked at me and said, "You didn't get that, did you?"
That can feel a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, I felt a bit embarrassed, especially because everyone was still smiling.
What did you say?
I just said, "Not really. Can you explain it to me?"
That's actually a very good response. Very honest and natural.
Yeah, and I realized in that moment that pretending to understand is worse than asking.
That's a very important lesson.
Yeah, because when I asked, they explained the joke, and then I actually understood it.
And did you laugh again after understanding?
Yeah, and this time, it was a real laugh.
That must have felt much better.
Yeah, because I finally felt included in the conversation.
And that's what makes a big difference.
Exactly. Being part of the moment is more important than pretending.
Did that experience change how you reacted in similar situations?
Yeah, after that, I stopped pretending and started asking more questions.
That's a very good habit.
Yeah, because it helped me learn faster and understand people better.
And it probably made your conversations more natural as well.
Exactly. Because now I was actually following the conversation.
Which builds confidence over time.
Yeah, and I realized that not understanding everything is completely normal.
Especially in a new environment with different accents.
Exactly. And Irish humor can be quite unique as well.
Yes, it definitely has its own style.
And sometimes jokes depend on culture, not just language.
That's a very important point.
Yeah, and that moment helped me understand that learning a language is also about understanding culture.
That's so true, because humor is deeply connected to culture, and not everything translates directly.
Yeah, and at that moment, I realized that understanding jokes is like the next level of language learning.
What do you mean by next level?
Because it's not just about vocabulary, it's about timing, tone, and shared cultural references.
That makes sense. Humor often depends on context more than words.
Exactly. And sometimes, even if you understand every word, you still don't get the joke.
Yes, because the meaning is hidden in how it is said.
Yeah, and that used to frustrate me a bit in the beginning.
Did you ever feel left out in those moments?
Yeah, sometimes, especially when everyone was laughing and I was just trying to keep up.
That's a very common feeling for learners.
Yeah, but I started to change how I saw those moments.
How did you change your perspective?
Instead of feeling embarrassed, I started seeing it as a learning opportunity.
That's a very healthy mindset.
Yeah, because every time I asked about a joke, I learned something new.
And that builds your understanding over time.
Exactly. And I also started noticing patterns in how people joke.
What kind of patterns did you notice?
A lot of jokes were based on exaggeration or irony, especially in Irish humor.
Yes, irony is very common in British and Irish humor.
Yeah, and sometimes people say the opposite of what they actually mean.
Which can be confusing if you are not used to it.
Exactly. At first, I took everything literally.
That happens to everyone in the beginning.
But over time, I started to recognize when someone was joking.
What helped you recognize that?
Their tone of voice, facial expressions, and how other people reacted.
So you were reading the situation, not just the words.
Exactly. Communication is much bigger than just language.
And once you understand that, everything becomes clearer.
Yeah, I stopped focusing only on words and started paying attention to the whole interaction.
That's a big step forward.
Yeah, and I also started to feel more confident joining in.
Did you start making jokes as well?
A little bit, yeah, but I kept it simple at first.
That's a good strategy.
Yeah, I didn't try to be funny, I just reacted naturally.
And that probably felt more authentic. Did your coworkers react differently once you started engaging more?
Yeah, they included me more in conversations and joked with me more often.
That's a sign you were becoming part of the group.
Yeah, and that felt really good.
Because you were no longer just listening, you were participating.
Exactly, and that made my English improve even faster.
Because real interaction accelerates learning. And confidence grows naturally from those moments.
Yeah, all from one simple moment of not understanding a joke.
It's interesting how something as simple as not understanding a joke can actually impact how you feel in a social environment.
Yeah, because in that moment, it's not just about the joke. It's about feeling included or excluded.
Did you feel excluded at first?
Yeah, a little bit. Especially in the beginning, when those moments happen more often.
That's completely normal when you are in a new linguistic and cultural environment.
Yeah, and I think many people don't talk about that part of learning a language.
The emotional side of it.
Exactly, because it's not just vocabulary and grammar. It's also confidence and identity.
What do you mean by identity?
Because when you can't fully express yourself, it feels like you're not showing who you really are.
That's a very powerful point.
Yeah, you feel like a simpler version of yourself.
And that can be frustrating.
Yeah, especially when you know you can be more expressive in your own language.
Did that feeling change over time?
Yeah, slowly, as I started understanding more and participating more in conversations.
And those small improvements build confidence.
Exactly, and I started to feel more like myself again.
That's a beautiful moment in language learning.
Yeah, when you stop translating and just start reacting naturally.
That's when communication becomes real. Did humor become easier for you after that?
Yeah, not instantly, but I started to understand more jokes and even react faster.
That must have felt very rewarding.
Yeah, because now I could be part of those moments, not just observe them.
And being part of those moments is what builds real connections.
Exactly, because humor connects people in a very natural way.
It creates shared experiences.
Yeah, and those shared moments make you feel like you belong.
Which is something everyone wants.
Exactly, especially when you are far from home.
Did that help you feel more settled in Dublin?
Yeah, definitely. Those small social moments made a big difference.
It's often the small things that matter the most. So, if someone is listening and feels uncomfortable when they don't understand a joke,
I would say don't pretend, just ask, and see it as a chance to learn something new.
that's very good advice.
Because every moment like that is an opportunity to grow.
And to understand people better. That's how fluency really develops.
Through real moments like this.
And over time, those moments that once felt uncomfortable become part of your growth.
Yeah, and I think that moment of not understanding the joke actually helped me more than I expected.
Because it pushed you out of your comfort zone?
Exactly. It forced me to engage instead of staying quiet or pretending.
That's a very important step in becoming more confident.
Yeah, because I realized that asking questions actually creates connection.
And people usually appreciate that honesty.
Exactly. Instead of judging, they help you understand.
And that creates a more open and friendly environment.
Yeah, and it makes conversations more real.
Did you start enjoying those situations more over time?
Yeah, because I stopped seeing them as problems and started seeing them as opportunities.
That's a very powerful mindset shift.
Yeah, and I think that's when learning really accelerated for me.
What changed the most after that?
I became more present in conversations, less focused on being perfect and more focused on connecting.
And connection is what makes communication meaningful.
Exactly. And I started enjoying conversations much more.
Which makes you want to speak more.
Yeah, and that's what improves your English the fastest.
Because practice becomes natural, not forced. And what would you say to someone who feels uncomfortable when they don't understand a joke?
I would say don't hide it. Just ask, laugh with them, and enjoy the moment.
Because those moments bring people closer.
Exactly. They create real connection.
And they make you part of the group.
Yeah, and that feeling of belonging is very important.
Especially when you are living in another country.
Exactly. Those small social moments make a big difference.
They make a new place feel more like home.
Yeah, and that's something you don't learn from books.
That comes from real experiences. So, if you're listening and you feel lost sometimes in conversations,
just remember that it's part of the journey, and you're improving every day.
And you're not alone in that feeling.
Everyone goes through it.
Even advanced learners. So be patient with yourself.
Keep showing up,
Keep listening,
keep speaking.
and keep learning. If you enjoyed this conversation,
Like the video, comment, and share it with someone learning English.
and we'll see you in the next episode.
See you next time,
And next time, maybe you'll get the joke a bit faster.
or at least laugh at the right time. See you, and bye-bye.